Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 5th episode of the World of Work podcast. In today's episode, we spoke to Rachel Swallow, who is a Bachelor of Engineering specialising in Mechatronics, Robotics and Automation Engineering graduate, and a Master of Science specialising in Data Science graduate from the University of Cape Town. She is currently a Quantitative Graduate Trainee in First Rand Group. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and that you learned something from it. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Good. How are you, Coops?
I'm good, thanks. So Rachel did a Bachelor of Engineering in Mechatronics, Robotics and Automation Engineering, and then she did a Master's of Science in Data Science, specializing in the financial markets at UCT. How's your journey been so far? How was UCT? How's doing your master's there?
So I guess UCT was a big change. I came from Stellies doing a completely different undergrad. So that was a big change because I went from engineering, which is very different to, I guess, data science and finance kind of subjects.
Mm.
So it was a big change. I think the cultures between UCT and Stellies was like a bit different, but I loved UCT. Loved my lectures there. I thought the course was so interesting, such a nice, refreshing change of pace. And like it was a big jump and it was a lot of work, but yeah, absolutely loved it. So can't complain.
Yeah. And something that's so interesting now is that you are a quantitative graduate trainee at First Rand Group. And the reason
Mhm.
why we have to have you is because there's so many people at like First Rand and like also ABSA who have an engineering background that I saw on LinkedIn that go into like a bank and that work for like um
Mm.
that in that sector. And most people think that in order to get into like in order to work for a bank, you have to have like a commerce background. So
Mm.
what inspired the change? Like what made you decide, okay, because obviously now you have this background in engineering, and
Mm.
you could have, I guess, gone and done something with that was to do with
In the
engineering,
field.
only engineering,
Mhm.
like a lot of students do. What made you decide that you wanted to go and be a quantitative trainee at First Rand?
So I think when I started realizing I didn't want to be within engineering, was within my third year of varsity. And I think that's quite a common thread for most people. I think third year is when you start doing the like nitty gritty of your course and you kind of like, do I want to end up in this field or not? Like, what are the other options? And when I did engineering, I kind of knew that it was more open, so you could do a lot of stuff with it, which was quite nice. And from third year, I guess I started researching like what are the other options? What can I do? Like, can I go do software development? Can I go do into finance? Can I go back and study medicine? Even I was very confused in third year.
Mm.
And I think what helped me, what inspired the change, I guess, was I just spoke to a huge amount of people. I spoke to a lot of grads. I listened to a lot of podcasts. I kind of like did a lot of research on my own on the weekends, kind of like what other career options are there and what kind of backgrounds do these people have. And I think finance is one of those great things where you, in the beginning, I think everyone thinks you have to have done like accounting or some classic finance background, but actually you can do any kind of math-based degree and you can kind of get into the quantity side of stuff, which is quite nice. So that's kind of where I think I saw the R&B Minds That Matter program, and I saw all of the degrees had like a quantitative background to them, and I was like, okay, well, engineering fits in there. And from there, I kind of was like, I'm not going to go straight out into a job from engineering into finance because I'm the kind of person that I need some background. So I was like, what kind of degrees can I do that have some finance subjects that I can get a little intro into before I go into the banks? And that's why the AFRM degree at UCT was so nice because they had two subjects in like quantity kind of fields, which were great, and I loved them. And then from there, I was like, I'm sold. I'm going into finance, which is really nice.
So you mentioned that, okay, so you had to do like at least a little bit of like intro courses in order to
Mm,
go into a financial institution.
mm.
Do you think it would have been possible for you to go straight into this graduate program without the master's? Do you think like straight from having like an engineering background, you could have gone straight into it?
Yeah, there are tons of people within the bank that have a straight engineering or straight physics or a straight applied math degree. So there are people like that that can go straight in. I think it is a lot of work because there's a lot of lingo in finance. Even me now, like even just the banks, I'm like, what are you guys saying sometimes? But I think for me, it was great to have that kind of intro just for my like self-confidence, I guess. But tons of people go in without that. And I think it's great and they do so well. So like you don't need it, but it definitely does help. I won't lie. I think if you don't go in with it, you're gonna have to put in a lot of extra hours just catching up with the lingo. Yeah.
On top of
But
the
it's
already
good.
really big hours. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so do you ever feel though, because obviously now there's so many people who come from a commerce background who have studied this for 4 years, 3 years, specialized in it, and then you've come from like an engineering background, yes, with a master's, which is amazing. Do you ever
Mm,
feel like does it ever feel like it's really hard, especially like because I can imagine how competitive it is if there's like students with an engineering
mm.
background and a finance background or commerce background coming into the same field. What do you think? Firstly, do you feel the pressure of coming in without like the 4 years of a commerce degree?
So yeah, definitely. Some of my colleagues are like the smartest people I've ever met. Like they are insane, and they've done like XI or something very classic
Mm,
to go into quants, and they know so much more than me, and that's great. But I've learned so much from them because I think I think all the purpose of, I guess, hiring people from different degrees is like you get a different way of thinking and different experience, which like I bring stuff to the table that maybe necessarily they don't have. So we've done like a lot of coding in our course and like a lot of automating stuff. So I guess like that's kind of my previous team. Like I had that some people didn't, and then they had stuff to add to my learning experience that I didn't have. So it is. I won't lie. It is for me. I have big imposter syndrome when it's very technical finance, quantity stuff. Just because I didn't do XI, I didn't do math finance. I did like two subjects. So like that for me was hard to get over. But then I realized like in work, most people you just have to get into it, get into the nitty gritty, execute your stuff, do as much as you can, and yeah, I think that I feel like the imposter syndrome holds you back a bit. Like if you don't feel like you are up to the level where everyone else is, then you're kind of holding yourself back. So I just try my best and hope, and like my mentors will guide me if it's completely wrong, which I have been before. So.
mm. And then this is kind of a follow-up. What do you think
Mm,
engineering students need to do in order to differentiate themselves, in order to get these jobs? I've spoken to actually a few. I have two friends now who, well, one wants to go into consulting, and
mm,
he studied electrical engineering. Then there's another one who studied mechatronics, and she wants to go into banking because
mm,
he's been told by other engineering grads that there's not much math money in like engineering companies, right? Unless you work for like the big ones like Sasol. So what would you suggest to
mm.
them that they do differently throughout their schooling careers in order to differentiate themselves from the rest of their classmates and get these jobs?
So I think the most important thing I think for me, well, what I found helped is like I had quite a varied CV. Like I was involved in like clubs and societies, like like UCT InvestSoc. Like that stuff helps. So if you're involved in all those extra clubs, all those extra societies, that's great. Also, if you show that you're interested in other areas, like let's say like you can do some Kaggle competitions, if you're interested in coding, like all the data science projects and stuff like that, that really helps. And also a lot of the time the bank put on these winter schools and internship programs. I know getting into those is quite hard, but if you can, like that shows that you are interested and eager to get into that kind of position. And the same with consulting. I think they have all those coursework internships and stuff. So just be involved as early as possible. Like I would say from third and fourth year, those are your years to like push into those kind of areas.
Yes. And you actually did a few internships. You did internships at KDEX SA, at Industrial Data Exchange, and also another electronics one. Did you learn anything
Mm.
from these? Would you suggest that other students also do internships?
Yeah, huge, big recommend. It sucks at the time because you're like, oh, my summer holiday, like I can't go jolting with my friends, but like it really helps. I think to show that you've interacted in a company before, you've interacted with working professionals before, you've like learned stuff other than your degree. I think is so important, and like I think you'll end up enjoying it. Like I loved like IDX. I loved IDX. My time there, I spent I think 2 months there, and it was great over my degree. And I think that I think at least then you have something to speak about in those interviews when you go for these things. You're like, this is the project I've done in my back work. Like, you're showing that you've like put in some extra time outside of your degree, which I think is a good thing.
I love that. Speaking of your degree, did you have any like balance during your, because I can imagine how hectic it was during your time studying engineering. Were you able to balance your time at school with your time seeing friends and doing other things that you like?
I won't lie, first year for me was a big wake up call. I think first year in studies, I think it's 8 to 5 p.m. So you're there the whole time. And I was in res. So I didn't have like a lot of my friends in ACCA were jawling and they were like missing some tuts and whatever, and it was fine. They were having a great time. But I was in res, and I think the res culture is very like studious. So, well, at least for the girls' side. Um, and I think then I lacked balance. I was there, I was working myself hectic hours. I didn't exercise in first year. I was just not having a great time. But I think that's also part of the learning trick of first year. You kind of finding your feet. And then from second year to fourth year, I definitely found a balance. I started sport, I exercised, I had fun, like spent time with my friends. But yeah, it's definitely hard to, I think, find balance of when you have so much work, but you also need like that mental health break. You need your exercise and your friends. Otherwise, you're just not going to do well.
Mm.
Yeah.
If you could go back to engineering student Rachel, what advice would you give her that she didn't know then, that you know now?
I would say to her, it's all going to work out. Stop stressing because I think in my third year, I kind of ruined it for myself because I was so worried about what I was going to do afterwards. But there's so many things to do. Like, I think that when you're in it, you think that you have to do one thing or the other, but like you can change what you want to do a million times. Even now, I keep reminding myself, like, I don't have to stay in the same thing. I can change whatever I want to do. Like, it's not set just because you make one decision, nothing's set. So, yeah.
Mm. And lastly, on the school front, well, on the engineering front, you
Mm,
tutored mathematics. How
mm.
was that? Do you feel like that has helped you, in any way in your career so far? Would you recommend that other people who get given the opportunity to tutor do take the opportunity or not?
So I think it depends. I think looks good in your CV. To be honest, I would. I would have. I would do it again. I also love tutoring. I thought it was a lot of fun, and like I feel like you meet a whole bunch of people, and the younger people in your course are great. Like it's fun to interact with them. So and also the extra cash can't hurt. So it's a great. I think it's a great opportunity, and you definitely should do it if you offered. Yeah, that's my recommendation.
Mm. And then you did your master's in data science. Can I ask what made you decide to do it in data science? I'm asking because, again, like I've seen on LinkedIn and also with my friends who are studying engineering, they've gone and done like
Mm,
masters in something that's related to finance, something that could help them within banking.
mm,
But it's not necessarily data science. It'll be like maybe financial markets. It'll be this, that, and the other.
mm. So a popular one for engineers to do is MCOM and risk management and math finance. Those are the two masters that are very popular and which really help with quantitative banking. Like if you set on banking, then those are great degrees and really recommend them. I chose data science because I wanted to do more coding. I felt like I was really interested in like the data side of things. I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I have a continuous glucose monitor, and a lot of that is data related. So I was like, I still love the engineering side, so maybe I should do something kind of related to that. I want to do like machine learning and that kind of thing. And that was the degree that kind of gave me those subjects that I could like look into that more while still doing some finance subjects, which could get me into banking. So I kind of wanted to keep my options open in case I didn't want to go straight into the banks, which is, yeah, fun.
Wow. And now you work for First Rand, which is one of the largest financial institutions in the country in Africa. How is that? What made you decide to go to First Rand? And how's your experience been there so far?
So First Round is like their grad program is incredible. I couldn't recommend it enough. Like you go in with 20 or so quants and they all feel like family from day one, like so much fun. You all do, there's like tons of rotations available. Like all completely different degrees. So you meet like a huge variety of people and you get experience in huge variety of sections in the bank. Like I've been to group treasury, which is amazing. I've been to like a data science team, R&B. I've been to markets. So like I've seen like a lot, which has been great. And I've only been there for a year and a half. I think I chose FirstRand because the culture was quite like I love the interviewers, like the culture, they seemed like it was great, and the community there seemed really nice. And you know, for me, I'm quite like I need like encouragement, I guess. And the manager relationship at FirstRand like spurs that on, I guess, because like you can speak to anyone. And you have direct access to any of your managers, and like everyone's really supportive, which is really great. So I think it really worked out for me. Yeah, so that's why I chose FirstRand.
I think that's amazing because so many times, especially like at big companies, you don't really have access to your managers or like
Mm,
the big people at the work
yeah,
office. So I think that's amazing that they graduates have direct access to managers. So you
yeah.
mentioned that you were a bit confused, not really sure what you wanted to do after you graduated, and I can imagine that you weren't sure, like maybe medicine, maybe this, maybe that, and I can imagine that there's a lot of people as well, including myself actually, that are like, what should I do like when I graduate, So what advice
Mm,
would you give to students right now? I know you've already given advice to engineering students who,
mm.
possibly want to go into banking, but what advice would you give to students overall on what to do, if they're confused about what they want to do after school?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think the most important thing to do is speak to as many people as possible in different fields. Anything you're interested in, go research it like properly. Like go look at like TikToks of people doing that job. Like go look at, go speak to people within that field. Go look at the like subjects you would do if you were going to study that degree. Like really research and have a proper understanding of what you're going to end up doing day to day, because I think it's so different. Like, I think your idea of something is always so different to what it actually is. Like when I first started in markets, I thought it would be completely different to how it is, and I love it now. But like, I remember thinking in my head when I was in third year engineering, trading and markets was completely different to how it is now. So I think speaking to people and having a proper understanding of what you're actually getting into and what you need to get there and how they enjoy it is like so important. So yeah, speak to as many people as possible, ask for help. Like even just looking at LinkedIn, like random jobs, like I do that all the time, like just to see what's out there. It's fun. Yeah, that would be my recommendation,
I love LinkedIn so much.
Yeah, it's fun.
Can you please take us through a day in your life as a graduate trainee at First Rand? How that looks like, what people who want to go there should expect.
Sure. So First Round is one of those great programs where you can rotate. So that's like the one key difference between some of the other programs I've heard about. So First Round, you rotate every 6 months into a different team. So how my day usually starts, you have 6 months rotations. So right now I'm currently in technical structuring in R&B, which is in markets. So usually my day will start around 7:45. I'll get into the office. It's a trading desk, client structuring desk. So we don't have long-term, currently as a grad, I don't have long-term projects because I'm still learning. But so what we'll do is trades will come in, client requests will come in, we'll price and structure. Then that will be for basically the whole day. There's some ad hoc projects that we'll do. Usually I'll leave the office around 5:30, 6. Um, and yeah, but some of my other rotations, like the data science team in R&B, same time frame, but very different rotation. Like that, you'll get these really long-term projects where we'll get data from all over the bank, all over from external sources, and we'll make these data science projects within that team. So that was more like 2 month, 3 month term projects. And then my time at group treasury, that was also kind of like project-based work, get into the office around the same time. Lots of interaction between the teams and different desks within Treasury, which is really nice. Lots of reading papers, and yeah, obviously like lots of interaction with other grads. Like I always meet my friends for lunch, which is really nice. We have grad catch-ups every 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, so it's really great. And then every now and then there's a company event or a birthday or something, which will be nice. And after work, we'll go for dinner or something. So it's a really great culture. And yeah, every day is different. Every rotation is different. And if you interview someone else from first round, like grad program, they'll give you a completely different story. So that's what's great about it. You can kind of plan your own, what you want to do in the day. So that's great.
Oh wow. Do you guys get given these rotations, like, or do you get to choose where you go next?
So it's a bit of both. So when you first arrive, our grad program manager will set you up within a rotation, because they look at your degree and what you've studied, and they'll be like, okay, where would you best fit in? So your first rotation is set, so your first 6 months. But then they encourage you to kind of go explore and speak to people who the other rotations available and kind of choose your next rotation. And they give you a lot of leniency with that. So like Alexia, our manager, will give her like 3 options that we're interested in, and she'll give us like one of those. If you're really keen on the rotation, like structuring, I was super keen on, and I organized that to go there, and I confirmed that. So you definitely can pick where you want to go. But if you leave it up to Alexia, she also gives you great rotations as well. So if you're not sure, then you'll just get a random one, which is also great.
Mm. Do you have a favorite one so far? What's been your favorite one?
I've loved every single one. I must say, like, I know that sounds like the classic political answer, but like it's great. Like every single one I've loved, which is also a problem because it's hard to choose like where you want to go. But yeah, they've all been extremely different. Like technical structuring has been like very fast paced. Whereas the work in treasury was more longer term and slower paced, which is also great. So yeah, it's very hard to choose.
That's amazing though, because at least you know, like at the end, you have all these options.
So many options.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you have any plans to leave the country for, even if it's like a little bit, like I know so many people, including myself, would love to like maybe go to the UK for like 2 years, 3 years, and then
Mhm.
maybe come back. Do you have any plans to do that?
So there is a rotation within, like, one of our rotation options is to go to the UK branch of, I think it's Aldermore, and then if you're an accountant, it's RMB UK. So that's for 6 months. I was thinking about doing that because I think that's a nice intro. Like if you don't like it, it's only 6 months. You can come back. If the weather's too horrible, like it's fine. It's only 6 months. So I'm thinking about doing that. I think that would be great, a great opportunity. And then I guess if I like it, then maybe I'll do another year or so, but we'll see. Right now there's no firm plans on the cards. No.
Mm. And finally, so obviously, like you were in the Western Cape, you went to Stellenbosch first, and then you were at UCT. So for these last few years, how has the jump from like staying there for so long in these like in such a
Mm.
beautiful area and such a beautiful place, and then coming back to Joburg and working here, how's that been?
So I won't lie, people always underestimate Joburg, but Joburg is so much fun as a young professional. People here are so friendly. There's always something happening. It's one of the best places to live, I think, when you're in your early 20s. Yeah, it's just such a vibe. Like wouldn't replace it. Like even though the Western Cape is great, it was beautiful. You have the mountain, but here it's just so much fun. Like couldn't recommend it enough.
Wow, you're actually one of the first people saying that. Like, especially, okay, I guess it's because you've been working here, but so many people, that,
Mm.
especially like with me and my friends, like we were like, oh my gosh, I don't know how we're gonna go back there. We've been in Cape Town and it's so beautiful, and now it's to go back and work.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I was the same. I was a Joburg girl, so like I was the same. I didn't want to come back, but when I came back, I was like, I want to stay. So yeah.
Wow, okay. Thank you so much, Rachel, for taking the time out of your Saturday morning
Mm.
to speak to me and to speak to the society. I've learned so much from this, and I can't wait for especially my engineering friends to hear about this.
Great.
They've all been like begging me to speak to someone with an engineering background, so they're all going to be really happy. And yeah, thank you
Great.
so much, and I'm wishing you all the best for your career going forward. And yeah, all the best. And I'm so glad you're enjoying First Rand.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Thanks. It was really fun.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode and that you learned something from it. Please note that Ocean Rock is coming to UCT on the 24th of May 2023 from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I hope to see you there, and I hope to see you again next week. Bye!